everybody, and welcome back to Is It Kino, your favorite movie review podcast. And today we've got some Mel Gibson goodness coming straight to you because somebody paid us to review Dragged Across Concrete, the third and final film from S. Craig Zoller, which is very disappointing because I've seen 2 of his 3 movies and I'm about to see the third, and he needs to make more. We'll get into that. Hey, by the way, I'm Mumpky Simian, joined as always by Rich McCoy.
What is the third one you haven't seen?
I haven't seen Bone Tomahawk yet because the PCP was going to vote for it and they didn't vote for it.
God damn it. That's a really good one.
Yeah. And we're also joined by Eggie.
Yo, what is up, my fellow biscuits?
Biscuits? Is that some sort of cracker reference? You being racist to us on the Dragged Across Concrete episode, Eggie?
Oh. My brother in the film who sacrificed it all, okay? You know what I'm saying? But he wasn't a real gamer. I think that's what made all the difference, you know? My other brother, you know, he went ahead and got his gamer mode on first, and that's why he was the winner.
Yeah, is that why he survived? Because he played all those shooting video games. He knew how to survive a Mel Gibson attack in the Safari.
Usually when I hear about, like, lions in some sort of philosophical context, it's like the Anglo-Saxon lion wakes up and conquers the world. But that's from 4chan political users. That's what they've been telling me. I think to be honest, in the common terminology, I think the lion usually is like the Lion of Judah. So Israel's waking up and conquering. I don't know. But in any case, lions, I like them. I like when they jump through flaming hoops in Las Vegas. So good on them.
Eggie, have you seen Brawl in Cell Block 99? Is that what it's called, E-Rich? What's the number?
Yeah, Brawl in Cell Block 99.
Yeah, this director made, before this one, he made another movie with Vince Vaughn where he goes into a prison and it's the darkest, most twisted and depraved a downward spiral of a narrative ever. And like this man going like through the layers of hell to the very bottom of the worst humanity can provide.
I feel like I've heard a lot about the film. I don't think I've ever seen it, though. First thing, when you talk about movies about prisoners, I'm thinking about Bronson. I think that's the last prisoner movie I watched. I don't recall watching Brawl in Cell Block 99, to be honest.
Well, if you enjoyed this one, I think we'll definitely have to trail back to that one. And I definitely need to see, because I've only seen one moment of Bone Tomahawk.
Oh, man. Have you seen the big thing in there? Oh, man.
Yes. The one spoiler thing to see I've seen.
Yeah.
Hey, what were you going to say? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I have no idea. No, you said
when the dude gets ripped in half? Have you seen Bone Tomahawk?
Only ripping in half I've seen recently was that the first Terrifier, or is that the second one where the lady gets chopped?
Oh, God, I don't know. It's probably in all of them.
I think that's in the second one.
I'm over the Terrifiers. I was not terrified. I was more terrified reading The Dark Forest, okay? But enough about that.
I'm still fucking having nightmares with that Smile 2. That's the one that came out with. I'm still having nightmares. Yeah. I keep on like fucking dreaming that like people are smiling at me on the street and shit. I don't know. That's my most psychological torment in the last.
Are you
months.
A dog? Or like a monkey? Like they're showing their teeth at me. They're aggressive. They want to fight.
Well, I do have behaviors that are very dog and monkey like, so there might be something going on there. I couldn't say for sure.
So I need to stop smiling at Eggie, is what I'm hearing, because I'm terrifying him. Like Art the Clown. I can just frown if I have to, but okay, let's do a big. So today we're talking about S. Craig Zoller's masterpiece with Mel Gibson. And let me ask the panel this real quick. Is this movie evil, inherently evil at its core, and that's why it's so damn good? And I have some evidence to bring. The movie, it's very long, and I'm not going to say it wastes our time, but it spends time on some interesting things. For example, just out of nowhere, halfway through, we see this random woman we've never seen before, and we get like a 5-minute little story about how she's a new mother, and she doesn't want to go back to work. She has like postpartum depression or whatever. She wants to stay with her baby, but it's time to go back to work, and the husband convinces her to go. And then she goes to work. Just so happens it's the bank that's being robbed by the bad guys, and she's the first one to get killed. So, like, this is a movie that takes its time Any other movie, it's just a random bank employee that got killed. But this one takes the time to make you emotionally invested in this woman just to kill her, just because it's darkly evil. Like, I think it's evil in a good way.
She holds up a little like crocheted booty and is like, "Can you give this to my son or something?" And then she fucking gets
her head, and like it looks like a pumpkin getting hit with a sledgehammer.
And what's insane is that one of the bank employees gets kidnapped. You would think it would be her. Like, this is the character that's been established, but no, it's just some random other woman.
I had an anecdotal feeling about that particular mother/bank employee on the bus that you're mentioning here. Because, so, for me, I hate working. You know, it is what it is. I love being a leech. And it feels like winning a video game, the more money I can take from the world without ever giving anything back. But with that being said, historically speaking, the women I date also don't want to work, and I was getting some like PTSD at first about like having your woman like at the door, like refusing to go to work and like about to get fired from her job. Like, just go, like you're gonna be fine, just go to work. And anyway, so then she ends up getting killed, and I'm like, well, that's reflection that I needed for my soul, I think, because it's why, it's like a mental thing. Listen, if I could, grift from online gambling organizations and shady overseas casino organizations to pay my bills, why should I have this instinct to, order my significant other around and make them go be a wagey, like, I could have clued in some people on it. It was a good self-reflection moment when I saw her head get smashed like a sledgehammer pumpkin after she's begging for mercy. And I think it also did, not that I needed it necessarily, this Vogelman character who's really suited up in the most assassin attire I've seen in a film in a while, to be honest. Truly like true to reality what somebody in his position would be equipped with. Excuse me. Not like I needed this necessarily to levy any more disdain towards his character. And I don't believe he's even the one who fires the shot, if I'm mistaken. I think it was actually the guy who, maybe I'm misremembering exactly. But anyway, the fact that he's leading the operation, I think we see enough psychopathy from him preceding this to kind of get a good judge of character for him and how volatile, ruthless, and explosive and dangerous he is as a person. It was a scene that definitely stuck out. I don't know if I needed it necessarily, but it left me with something maybe more than other scenes, so I'll give it that much.
Well, I think I needed it because, and I don't know S. Craig Zoller personally. Actually, I don't know anything about him other than I've seen 2 of his movies, but since he wrote and directed this, I'm just going to assume perhaps politically he leans a little more conservative. I mean, he's literally putting Mel Gibson in his movie and he's not afraid to do it. This movie has a lot of political aspects of being anti-woke culture and sort of almost trying to justify racism in a few scenes, which is, kind of incredible and crazy. But I think this conservative-minded filmmaker feels as though, hey, modern day, woman has a baby, she should not be going back to work. She should be raising her kid. She should be the one staying home. The husband should be out working while the mom raises the baby and breastfeeds it and shit. So it's like he's using this to punish her. Like, this is why you should be a trad mom, because you abandon your child and then you get killed immediately when you walk into work within 1 minute.
Yeah, but he's also saying in other parts that like they can't sustain, like at least Mel Gibson's character can't sustain a household on just his one income. So, I mean, I think there's a pretty even-handed approach in this movie to show that, like, yeah, you cannot live in the ways that society has set us up.
Speaking of racism, real quick, there was a line from Mel Gibson's wife in the film that I thought, I think I didn't remember or hearing about this film prior to watching it, but after I'm watching it, I'm like, oh, didn't I hear this one that like some people didn't like it because they thought it was a little chuddish? But there's a point, because Mel Gibson's daughter in the film gets like an orange soda thrown at her by Kel from Kenan and Kel. Well, actually, I don't know, a young African American man of non-disclosed
Kel is like 30 years older than those children.
He started the orange soda trend. I'm holding him responsible.
Yeah.
It's like Galaxy gas and cough syrup and whatever else is going on.
Yeah, and black don't
Spinning-
crack, Rich. Come on. It's hard to tell how old those people are.
I mean, yeah, I'm sure Kel looks exactly like a 12-year-old.
His name's Waka Flocka now. Please respect his proper nouns.
Are those his pronounced Waka/Flocka?
No, it's proper noun.
Oh, he was more like Bika/Flyka because he was on the bike. But anyway, and he might have had Zyka. Anyway, his wife, she's like, when we moved in this neighborhood, I was about as liberal as a cop could be. But, now that I think about it, I think I'm racist.
I wrote down the line. She says, I never thought I was racist before living in this neighborhood. Which,
so, they're not shying away.
And I think that this racism is almost built into the script where Mel Gibson and Vince Vaughn, they're cops, they're partners, and maybe they're a little aggressive. And I don't think they're necessarily racist, but when he's, kneeling down on the neck of this Mexican man, people thought he was being a little racially charged there, and they get suspended from their jobs for a bit. But we see crime of all levels, but the low-level crime is the minorities. Oh, it's the black kids throwing orange soda at people. It's doing drugs. But then, like, the mastermind villain is a white guy. Like, the actual smart criminal is a white guy. Is S. Craig Zoller doing this on purpose?
Well, I think it's just showing that there are several sides to every story.
But why is the smart criminal
the black
white
characters
one?
in this movie? There are characters in this movie who are black who the mom is not a drug dealer or a drug.
She's a prostitute.
Obsessed person when she's got a ton of money. Yeah, I know, but when she's got a ton of money, she's fine.
Well, yeah.
she's
Nobody
just
who's
getting
rich is gonna
massage.
sell their body.
She could be like a drug addict and be like strung out because she's got tons of money now, but no, she's got money, so she doesn't have to worry about any of that shit. I think it has a very not racist point of view about some of these things because one of our main characters is this black guy who's just trying to look out for his family, and at the end, I don't think that what he did was necessarily wrong. I think Mel Gibson's overly not trusting and unable to take anyone's word for granted is what gets him in trouble there.
And we kind of see that thread woven up to that climactic point because it's sort of like his entire career for 30 years in the police force has been fraught with controversy. So maybe it's been a consistent theme for him that he sort of, not even that he always leads with aggression, because it's sort of implied that that's something that's sort of developed throughout his career. Like he was starting off on the wrong foot and he never really took those steps to correct his approach to what he was doing. Even if it did get results, he was just always very abrasive with it. And so that sort of possible skill that he could have developed to maybe measure situations a little better maybe led him to that point where even in this climactic moment, he was not able to take that paranoia out of the equation. He just couldn't lend that trust even at that final moment.
Yeah, throughout the movie, he's talking about how the world has changed. Everyone's either gone soft or have accepted levels of bullshit from everything that he's not willing to accept. And he should have trusted that the other person in that situation was being honest.
So I think the format of this podcast so far is that I present things that are possibly problematic about the film, and then Erich and Eggie talk me out of it and explain why no, it's not that problematic. I think this is a good way to do it because I took a lot of notes on things that I'm curious, are these things that the writer actually believes, or is he putting these words in the voice of maybe a bad person?
Yeah, there are characters that believe certain things. They might be correct to believe those things from their point of view, or their lived experience has affected how they see the world. But that does not mean that the artist themselves is do we think that the American History X author believes every single thing that the neo-Nazi characters in that.
I mean, that's one thing, but
saying.
I think when you have your hero characters just waxing philosophy
I don't
about
know that
modern
they're hero
day society,
characters.
I think they are.
I don't know that they're hero
They're
characters.
cops.
I don't think
they're
are.
cops who get suspended and then they stay on the case anyway for free because they want to stop the bad guys. Straight up heroes.
Yeah, but it's selfish. It's they're going to take the money themselves.
Who cares? They're stopping the bad guys, aren't they?
Who cares?
I think that Mel Gibson and Vince Vaughn were the good guys here. But anyway, here's some ideas. Let's see if we think the writer agrees with these. They're saying there's not much difference between men and women these days. And Vince Vaughn knew that we had crossed the Rubicon when men started saying, "We're pregnant," in reference to their wife. Which, I mean, if he just waited a few more years, we'd move on to the discourse of men being able to get pregnant themselves. So the fact that he's even offended before that stage is interesting.
I don't know. To me, it's like that is something that those guys would believe. Like, they would say that. They would talk about these things. That would be their kind of, like, perspective. So it just seems like what the characters would do and say.
Okay. What say you, Eggie? Do you think that there's not much difference between men and women today, Eggie? Maybe I should ask if we agree with these things. Fuck the writer.
Well, I mean, our endocrine systems have been disrupted by microplastics, excessive radiation, and hormones in the food. So, yeah, it's real. Also, people are, I don't know, obviously as a historical male supremacist, you know, it pains me to say, but at the end of the day, a lot of these boys out here be on some beach made type shit, on some whole shit, man, for real, no cap, just like my man Biscuit would say.
E-Rich, I need to push back on E-Rich, because are we forgetting that this is a Mel Gibson movie in 2018, E-Rich? This guy clearly has some specific thoughts if he's willing to cast Mel Gibson in his movie. Come on.
I think that's part of it. That is totally part of it. You cast Mel Gibson because people come in with a preconceived notion of who that character is, and he freights a bunch of, like, things with that character that you're already side-eyeing that guy and being like, holy shit, this guy is it's already kind of fucked.
Yeah, but I think 90% of people would not touch Mel Gibson with a 20-foot pole, let alone cast him as the star in their movie. Like, this guy has the fucking balls. He's not afraid of cancel culture. And I think he's not afraid of free speech.
I mean, probably that as well. But I think even just from a acting standpoint, I think he's a good actor. He clearly is good
Mel
in this
Gibson's
movie.
Amazing.
Yeah. I mean, I
forgive him.
His personal.
We listened to his voicemails, and they really weren't that bad. Like, if he's gonna make movies like this still, fuck it. I say we forgive him.
All right, it's number one earner on Twitch.com. Twitch.com. Somebody makes $1 million a month. His name is Hassan Piker. He's saying a lot of things about Jewish people, and everybody loves him, and they want to give him millions of dollars a month. Mel Gibson says a couple of things while drunk, mind you, so he probably doesn't even know what he's saying. He probably doesn't even mean it. He says a couple small things. Oh, and it's so bad for 20 years when Hassan Piker gets $1 million a month now. I'm thinking we need to do better, people. Just think about it, all right?
We need a buddy cop movie with Hassan and Mel Gibson. Eggie, as declared. Okay, what about this?
He called that woman...
They say...
woman police officer, he called her sugar tits. That's a compliment.
Here's some philosophy in the movie. Modern day accusations of racism are the same as the Red Scare, communist accusations back in the day. I think that's a position that this guy could easily believe. Like, there's a time where the worst thing you could possibly be called is racist. I'm glad we're past that.
That's right.
Now you don't get X followers unless you are racist. I'm not racist. Every Martin Luther King Day, I order dark roast coffee. That's pretty good.
That's a great line. Come on.
That's all I ever drink is dark roast.
That's from this movie? Must have missed that one.
Oh, yeah, that was in here. Okay, anyway, I've been throwing out things too much. What do you guys want to talk about from this movie?
Well, so I just want to kind of mention when we're talking about Mel Gibson's character and the open interpretation we could have here. So it's like throughout his career, we have it implied that he's always been kind of rough around the edges. He's not going by the book. He does what he feels needs to be done to achieve the results that are going to be the most beneficial. And what this has done is it sort of handicapped his ability to progress and to ascend on the ladder and the structure within his organization, which then leads to him not earning the wage that he should be earning at his age in order to provide for his wife who needs it and for his daughter who needs it. Their living situation is not pleasant, and it ends up with him needing to, on account of his rough conduct, it then necessitates that he is going to do something in this vigilante way in order to secure something beneficial to himself that he needs in order to progress his family, where if he had sort of maybe been more mindful of his conduct previously and kind of gone through and progressed in the way that would have been expected of him, then he wouldn't have needed to do these things. So maybe we're seeing something here where even if he's got an agreeable stance on a lot of things, he's still taken the oath of his department. He's still signed contractually. He's obligated to follow a certain code of conduct that he doesn't. He's putting this woman in the shower, getting her all cold and blowing fans on her to, get results from her. This is the sort of thing where, okay, it's given him this almost a skill set that benefits him from this vigilante angle, and also that he's not as concerned as Vince Vaughn's character is with, all the hostages or people being killed during the robbery that didn't act. It's more
they couldn't have done anything about that. I think they would have just been
right.
committing suicide if they tried to stop the robbery.
Right, but he's not matching Tony's energy in that moment. He's sort of like, hey, you know what? Eyes on the prize. Got to stay locked in, focused. And it's this sort of it just kind of continues his character in that vein, where even if morally, when all things were said and done, that this was what it's good. The results that he had were positive and beneficial to the community and things like that.
He's eliminating murderers from existing. That's pretty good.
Yes, but it all led to the conclusion that was that resulted. Which, I think it's open enough to interpretation that it's like, oh, it was a noble sacrifice. Maybe that it ended up that way. It still ended up having his family provided for all the same. But there's people, it's just something to think about for any of us, where we have to contend with, is it in our lives better to take significant risks and maybe play loose with the rules to get the results we want? We're risking our own safety, maybe the safety of those around us, in order to get what we're looking for. Or do we kind of just stick to the script, build up the way that we want to build up, and maybe we're not always delivering the justice that the public face would want to see delivered because it's more complex. There's different things to consider that we need to adhere to in order to maintain this cohesive structure, this chain of command that we've had built up for decades or longer. So I think it's something for the audience and everybody to contend with there, but we can see, in my opinion at least, why Mel Gibson's character goes along this chain of events that transpires in the film.
So are you saying it's kind of a question of if the ends do justify the means in cases like this?
I would say so, yeah, because I see some things like this online sometimes where people, they get very frustrated about how certain things play out, and they feel very emotionally without taking into consideration the steps that they just kind of think, oh, well, this judge said this or this lawyer said this, so it's all just a scam and it's rigged. When maybe, perhaps, there are just something. This is something I kind of learned in my jury duty that I did, where there's just so many elements, there's so many layers and so many levels of systems and methods and like I said, the chain of command. There's ways that things are gone about where there's a lot to consider that I feel like is not always considered, and maybe Mel Gibson's character would be somebody like that, who I'm not going to sit here and listen to why the whatever, all your explanation, all your jabbering. I'm here to stop the drug flow, so you know what, let's get this guy down, let's kneel on his neck and get him handcuffed and start digging through stuff. We're gonna get these results.
Well, here's the theme that I thought I picked up on, and I would like Rich and you to maybe talk me out of it like we've been doing. Is the movie presenting this? Hey, you might think these cops are bad, but the criminals are even worse. Like, that's kind of the impression I get, where we have Mel Gibson, doing his thing, but then the next scene is like the bad guy Eggie was talking about, who's all decked out in the tactical gear, just doing the most evil, heinous shit you can imagine. And it's like, well, even if the cop is a little bit bad, if he's stopping this much worse person who has no good intentions for society, maybe is that not an ends justifying the means there?
I mean, I think those characters would be like, yeah, it's totally worthwhile for us to do whatever it takes to get the criminals the way we can.
Fuck the characters, Rich. I want to know if the movie's theme is, these cops are bad, but the criminals are even worse.
I mean, cops should hold themselves to a particular standard, and that standard has been laid out by the laws and regulations that they are themselves enforcing. So if they are not staying up to the standard that they themselves are trying to uphold, then I mean, I'm not that they're not worse than the criminals for sure, but they're definitely not holding up to their standard that they should.
But if Mel Gibson was not a corrupt cop and trying to get the gold for himself, don't we have a world with 6 more extremely dangerous murderers in it? Like, I think all of his actions created an overall positive for society.
I mean, there's no counter here where the cops just arrest the criminals somehow and they're perfectly fine. And maybe Vince Vaughn didn't have to die in that case then.
That was that bitch's fault. That pissed me off. The goddamn hostage betrays them. Like, what the hell? You fucking bitch.
Point crawling and not complying. I mean, I already knew something was up, to be honest.
Yeah.
You can tell. I don't know if she had a bomb strapped to her or whatever. But then we have to think also, if we want to kind of have such a, continuing to be open to interpretation, these criminals, they're ruthless, they are violent, and but they seem to be very methodical. They're really about getting results. Was it Vogelman? He gets out of the was it gray gloves? When he goes to get the security van, he goes and the van is being introduced to him for purchase, and he's shooting the tires and shooting the side of it, which seems so ridiculous, but this is just his first instinct. He's so methodical, he's so trained, he's so particular and professional about what he does, that's his first instinct, to start shooting some key weak points, or what would typically be a weak point of the van for his purposes. We have people like this who are employed by the United States military. They do these operations all across the world.
The Rob Lucci's of the world.
That's right. And so we're seeing this brutality that's enacted on a vulnerable populace in this way, and it's very disturbing, it's sickening, it's horrifying just how brutal they are. But is it a bit of a what would you say, through the looking glass or whatever? These people that are trained in this way, there's a lot of them who we rely on for different purposes in our own structure that are on our side. And, then maybe they could end up flipping, just like how the police flip. They are protect and serve, but, they end up having bad press. So then they go vigilante. Let's get some of this bank gold. And, then their side plays out. So something to think about, I guess, if I'm having my mind in that mode where I'm really trying to stay open to different thoughts about every character.
Rich, what say you? Are we just out of left field with this?
What do you mean by we're out of left field?
Just all the thematic questions that we're bringing up here.
No, I think they're interesting questions. I think that the movie is definitely giving you worse criminals to make the actions of these somewhat crooked cops somewhat heroic, but I think they're doing it for their own enrichment. So even if they're accomplishing good ends, the morality of the thing they're doing, which is going against their it's the thing that the guy says at the end, where it's you gave your word. Are you true to your word? Are you going to abide by the thing that you're supposedly standing for? And like, as cops, you're not going to go and do vigilante shit. That's just how how that whole thing works. So, I mean, even as somebody who's committing good, like, overall actions, which is taking out these killers, these violent killers, it makes you less trustworthy or less good of a cop in doing so. Because there is nothing stopping you from doing bad things, and being kind of like called to carpet for it because you're a vigilante. Like, there are no laws to like stop you from
but
terrible things
a true man
in pursuit of that justice.
A true man behaves by the laws of his heart and soul. Rich, who cares about? I mean, slavery used to be legal. I'm not going to go have a slave just because the law says I can. You know, like, fuck it. Vigilantes can be better than cops. Certainly, just because they don't have rules. Who gives a shit? Cops break the rules anyway.
Yeah, but they're not accountable to anything. Like, you can't.
Yeah, but if Mel Gibson's a good man, he's not going to harm any person. The only crime he wants to commit is stealing gold that was already stolen. Like, stealing from criminals certainly should not be a crime. Fuck it, that gold was stolen anyway.
I mean, as a cop, unless you quit your job as the cop, like, I know that they were suspended, but I think when you're suspended as a cop, it's not then kosher for you to go and start killing criminals.
By whose
so, like,
standard?
When you have
kosher
that,
by, like, what, the Talmud? Like, what are we talking about?
I mean, just not okay.
I think they were completely justified. If you're stalking murderers and then killing them, I think you did a good thing no matter what.
Yeah, I don't think so. What if they got other people killed?
They followed him out to a warehouse in the middle of nowhere. Who else is there?
Yeah, I mean, like, there's any number of things that could have happened that, and I know it didn't, and this is all, but like, how far would they have gone in pursuit of this gold or riches or whatever, and been okay with whatever.
I don't think they would do anything to directly harm an innocent civilian. I think that's why they became cops in the first place, because they hate the scum, and people just misinterpret shit as being racist. It's not Mel Gibson's fault that the criminal was Mexican. He would have done the same thing if he was white. It's not his fault.
The part where they are communicating with that woman, they keep saying, "I don't understand what you're saying," even though they clearly do. And then at the end, they're
she's
like,
lying.
"Do you understand anything she just said?"
Hey, if she's lying, you gotta get her in the shower, turn on the cold water.
Where the thing was.
Yeah, after some convincing.
Yeah, but I mean, to like explicitly make a deal with her to do one thing, and then she follows through on her end, and then you say, "Oh, I don't understand anything she's saying." That there was no deal. Like, that's pretty.
They should have let the plumber in.
That's right. I will say also, just kind of outside of the like philosophical angle here, this sort of openness that is played with in the moral standing of the different people in the film. For me, it really helped me enjoy the film because it is a bit long. Its runtime exceeds 2.5 hours. I think maybe it's around the 2.5 hour mark prior to the credit roll.
It's like 158 minutes or something. It's crazy.
Do not watch this on Pluto TV where there are constant ad breaks as well.
Did you do that, E-Rich?
Yeah, I did.
E-Rich, we post links to pirated shit in the chat all the time.
Yeah, I didn't remember.
But one thing I think that helped the film stay paced acceptably for me is that it was hard to gauge exactly what the next thing that happened was going to be. Like, it stayed surprising enough. It stayed engaging enough for that reason that I think, although it was a little bit, if there was one scene that, once going to bring up the woman, the mother who gets shot, like the scene change to her, like anxious on the bus or whatever, that kind of like knocked me off track a little bit until we brought it back into the bank. I was like, what the hell's going on here? But otherwise, besides that, just sort of the the sort of roughness that's in Mel Gibson's character and the way that his character is played by the rules or played a little bit off the rules throughout his career. It almost kind of feels like the direction of the movie feels a little bit like that. Like you kind of have an idea what's going on, but the tracks are a little bumpy, a little shaky. So you're getting some things that are surprising or some things that you might not expect that are a little bit jolting or some twists and turns. And I did like that, and I think that it's definitely added to my enjoyment of watching the film.
I really like the action in this movie, how it's very just like quick and matter of fact, and it doesn't really like luxuriate and everything. It just kind of just happens, and it's either incredibly violent or incredibly like gruesome, and then it's just over.
Yeah, it definitely has raw.
The most raw and gruesome scene is when one of the guys swallows a key that the bad guys need access to. So they cut open his fucking stomach, and we see all the viscera and like digging through the bloody organs to get this fucking key out. I was basically sitting there screaming at myself like just watching this shit because oh my. It just makes me sick to my stomach to see that. So I'm glad it got a visceral reaction out of me.
Incredible attention to detail in that scene. Also a funny quip where the one of the guys says, "Make sure you miss the liver. It smells so terrible on black guys especially." So I don't know what's up with that. But.
And then Mel Gibson says it's going to smell terrible in there, so maybe he knew.
But when they
at the end of the movie, they like open it up, and the black guy goes, "These guys are the shit themselves."
When they're excavating for the key and they penetrate the stomach, and it sort of like has this, it's all physical effects, and it's like the lining like starts peeling back and like expelling, like really incredible attention there. And then also just a little bit before that, when they are having the woman in the that was a hostage from the bank, she's blindfolded. And one of the kidnappers puts a knife up to the blindfold, and he goes, "Oh, if you one more word, and you're a pirate." But he does pierce the blindfold just slightly, and then like tears are like just like coming. So some really good practical attention in those portions there specifically stood out to me.
When he pokes a hole in the duct tape above her eye, and then an actual liquid tear comes through the hole, all in the same shot, that was incredible too. I wonder how they did that. Because, like, is he actually fucking stabbing a hole right on her eyeball?
I guess they probably had some sort of, like, very light thing with, like, maybe, like, a gel pack or something, right? Like, in it, and then she probably had some sort of, like, more solid pack. But, yeah, her eyes are covered for sure, in any case.
Another funny moment I wrote down, Vince Vaughn says, "This guy's like a cigarette commercial." And then very slowly and subtly, Mel Gibson pulls out a cigarette and starts smoking as he's watching it, like it worked on him. Any other standout moments from you guys?
I love at the end when Vince Vaughn has been wanting to propose to his girlfriend, and he kind of like makes it seem like he's left his ring in the pocket and has her check it, and he checks his messages, and I guess he gets the news that it was not a successful proposal. It's such like fuck, you're gonna fucking die, and then this is what you're going out on as well.
That's why I think this might be an evil movie. He's going out of his way to write it to be as devastating and painful as possible. Like Vince Vaughn is bleeding out, dying. He listens to the voicemail from his girlfriend. Like his dying moment is getting rejected. Like that's so hard.
On the other hand, might as well just die. Like the embarrassment will be over.
Not even embarrassment. It's just like internal devastation that this woman does not love me back the same way. That's rough.
Yeah. The scene between them is so funny because it's like Vince Vaughn, who's this like cop who I guess he's like a little bit more eruditic than Mel Gibson, but like his girlfriend is like clearly pretty intelligent, uses big words, and
he's
like,
dating a black woman. They call this cop a racist.
Big words too. It's pretty funny.
Yeah,
it's pretty funny.
Speaking of women in the film, I think that the opening sequence in this film is one of the most shocking that I've seen in quite a while, to be honest. Because the title card is very plain. It looks like I typed it up in MS Paint. I was like, the font and everything. Presentation was so meh. I was like, oh, what are we getting into? And immediately, the absolute first thing we see is the guy who kind of ends up being the survivor of the film, Henry, just clapping cheeks, BBC up all through the wazoo, just smacking and smacking. And I thought to myself, it looks like it's a Thai lady boy. Is that right? Like maybe it's a woman.
I think it's just a normal Asian woman.
It's a woman.
But
yeah.
I did like, he gets out of prison, and before he even goes to see his family, before he sees any of his friends, first thing he has to do is fuck a prostitute.
Getting a load.
And you know what? Hashtag relatable. But I thought it was Mel Gibson on top at first. I'm like, oh, we're getting Mel Gibson, and then I saw. So the Asian woman is.
You thought the black guy was Mel Gibson? This must have been the very darkly lit scene. Yeah.
You could tell it was a man thrusting, but I wasn't quite sure, what I was looking at. And then I saw that there was somebody on the bottom, which I couldn't tell if it was a man or woman because it's completely flat chested, 100%.
That's Asian women for you. Most of them.
Listen, I watched this thing called JAV, and things were flopping around anyway.
I saw on Family Guy, they said, tiny purse, tiny dog, tiny everything, and she's looking down her shirt. So that's how I know everything I know about other genders and races. It's from Family Guy.
Well, we got Family Guy and we got Mel Gibson's film, so that's 2 for 2.
Yeah, Mel Gibson's been in Family Guy plenty, I believe. I think there's a whole episode where he moves in next door. I don't think it's voiced by him though.
Might not signed off on that one.
That's too bad. What do you guys think of the word? I'm not gonna ruin it. I'll ask you the question and let you answer. Crayola things that you color with. What do you guys call those?
Crayons.
Okay, what do you call it, Eggie?
That's a crayon.
In this movie, he calls it crayon. And,
like cranberry? Crayon?
Yeah, he calls it crayon. And Eggie's agreeing. I agree that it should be crayon, but I think both words are stupid. Yeah. I don't think there's a good way to say it.
Stupid.
It just does not sound right. I mean, there's a reason why people say crayon. Because crayon just, I don't know. Maybe we should just call them colors.
There's a Y-O-N, though.
Then why do people call them crayons?
Here's what we need. Okay. So the French word crayon means chalk pencil. It is derived from the word cray, which comes from the Latin word creta. So crayon, confirmed, the right way to say it.
But Mel Gibson and Eggie say crayon, so I think I'm leaning that way.
Wow.
If there's any, you could say it's formerly known as a wax pastel.
That's what we should start calling them. Do you have a blue wax pastel you could pass me?
It sounds more dignified than a French word, which is hard to, French is supposed to be so fancy, so, to be honest.
Would you guys give this movie a high Letterboxd score? Because I gave it a 4 out of 5 both times that I saw it.
I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. Yes.
Ooh, Eggie's percolating.
Uh-oh. Eggies.
I would say probably for me a weak 4 out of 5, strong 3.5. I feel like it's engaging. There's nothing really that I could say negative about it. It's enjoyable, but I don't know if it really just blew me away, So it's good, but I don't know. Maybe not great for me, but
I had seen this movie before, so I already kind of had a thought about it.
Well, hey, you think about it from this perspective. I mean, Mel Gibson stars in this movie. I think the fact that he had the balls to do that in the first place, and then Mel actually delivers another great performance. It's a great character, great dialogue. I mean, all this builds up to, in my mind, any other filmmaker would not have made this movie. So this is so unique and specific to Craig Zoller and his cojones to make the movie the way it is. I think it's a special, unique thing that most other Hollywood filmmakers would never make anything even remotely like this.
Well, to those ends, I could also say, I suppose, I say that the film's engaging and it leaves you guessing. But I think, the sort of thing that we've been talking about in this episode where the morality is open and there's so many different ways you could look at it. I guess for that reason, I could maybe give it a stronger 4 out of 5, just for that reason when I think about it. Because yes, on one side, that is part of it that makes it engaging, but it also is more thought-provoking. And I feel like that in and of itself is uncommon, I think, in the average picture these days. So I guess for that reason, I could strengthen it up to a solid 4.
You have a scene where Vince Vaughn eats half a sandwich in the entire movie.
That's a crunchy sandwich. Okay, that took me out of that. Like, they know, I watch.
It's possible they toasted the bread.
Every now and then, I watch a mukbanger. They come through my algorithm. I'm not looking for them, but sometimes they do, and they have like the clip mic like right up here, and they're like, just the fact that it was so crunchy without any observably crunchy components, or like, the camera is at enough of a distance where you're not like feeling like you're right next to them. I don't know, maybe my one criticism throughout the entire film, the sandwich was too crunchy. It shouldn't have been so crunchy.
Wow.
Doesn't make sense.
The bread could have been toasted.
Finally, some
I might
real
have to rewatch
controversy.
it. Maybe it was. as a man who eats constantly and loves food, that's something that sticks out to me. It is what it is.
Guys,
Wow.
after publicly defacing S. Craig Zoller here and implying that he's like pro all these horrible things, what's the deal? He's only made 3 movies, and all 3 are evidently extremely good, critically well received. This came out in 2018, and he's had no movie since then. I did some research. It says that the company that was funding all of his shit like fell apart in 2020.
Oh, man.
And then since then, he's just never been able to get a budget to make a movie.
He's supposedly getting a movie coming out this year.
I hope that's true. It's been 7 fucking years that nobody would give this man money after he made 3, I'd say, really good movies. Even though I haven't seen Bone Tomahawk yet, but I trust E. Rich's judgment.
Well, he's
got a
got
movie called The Bookie and the Bruiser coming out this year.
Does it have a release date, or is that like a hope that ChatGPT came up with?
Well, it's Vince Vaughn and Adrian Brody are going to be in it.
Oh, fuck. Vince Vaughn, I was like, yes, keep it going, but then you had to ruin it. What was the name of that movie he just won the Oscar for that I'm never going to watch? The Brutalist? Because they brutalized his butthole in the movie? Is that why it's called that? Doesn't he get butt fucked in that film, E. Rich?
Yes, he does. By, what's his name? By, who's Pierce?
Yeah, and I recall Lores was going off about how there was no lube
Guy
involved,
Pearce?
so he just shoved a dry cock up a dry asshole, and it somehow worked.
Absolutely.
That's not how it works. That can't be. So we have to imagine his asshole was wet from either shit or sweat, because 2 dry things don't do that. It cannot be.
I think he hawked to it and spit on that thing.
I'll never know because I'm not watching it.
What I can say about Mr. Zoller is that since his last film, he actually has released 2 graphic novels. So maybe that's something he's been more involved in the
we also had a pandemic and a strike, and like there's been tons of reasons that he hasn't been making movies, I'm sure.
Yeah, but he was making a movie every year, like almost 3 years in a row, and then there was 2 whole years before the pandemic that he couldn't make anything. Like, were people mad about this movie?
I don't know. I don't necessarily think, because like I think these movies are fairly well received and fairly well. I think they do pretty good for
I figured maybe like, oh, you worked with Mel Gibson. I'm not giving him money for his next movie. Is that Mel Gibson hates Jews, and who's giving people money to make movies in Hollywood? Think about it.
Well, he's going to make his Passion of the Christ follow-up, so
I'll be there.
This might shock you, but S. Craig Zoller is a Jewish atheist and also MGTOW. So maybe they don't want to give a MGTOW man more budget.
He said he's MGTOW?
Let's see if I got a direct quote here.
E-Rich was defending this man the whole time, and I was right. He is based.
Just says he doesn't see himself getting married at any point.
That sounds MGTOW to me.
Here's, I guess, a character in Bone Tomahawk says, quote, smart men don't get married. That's something Zoller would say. Yeah, not married. I have no interest in it.
I was told that actually he would never put his own thoughts in the voices of his characters, so rejected.
Well, I guess I'll read the full quote. It may not be autobiographical, but there's a lot of Zoller and Bone Tomahawk. I put bits of myself all over the place, he says.
Nah, I don't think he would do that with any of his movies. You're making that up.
Well, if the Guardian.com interview is to be believed, Zoller's 100% MGTOW for life.
I only believe the mirror. You guys want to plug anything this week?
Find me on Letterboxd at Rubber1138, where I just watched the Final Destination Bloodlines, I think it's called.
Was it worth watching the whole series to get to that one?
Yeah, I think it was. It's a pretty fun series overall.
I think I've only seen 1, 2, and then one of them, this was the strangest thing. Back when I was a kid, one of them came out on DVD, and it was like an interactive movie where the DVD like have options pop up and you could click how you wanted the movie to go. So I've seen like a fake version of like the fourth one.
You've seen a fake version of it?
I mean, it's not like the movie that was directed and scripted. It's like make your own movie. It was a very unique experience.
I don't get that.
No, you're watching Final Destination, and then two options pop up on the screen, and you can click which scene you want, and it branches off into different shit. I guess you can't experience that unless
people lived or died.
I don't remember. I had the DVD as a kid, so somebody looked that up. Anyway, I'm not talking to you two, by the way. I mean, like somebody in the audience, go look it up.
I think after I watched Bloodlines, I did a little bit of a retrospective going through of YouTube videos about Final Destination, and I think that was a feature that they had, as I recall.
And nobody's done it since, have they? When's the last time there was a Choose Your Own Adventure movie?
You need it. It would be, what else were we talking about that they need? I can't remember. There was something that was, we were talking, some film prospect that I remember us suggesting it, but I already forgot what it was. But whatever it is, that also needs to have a Choose Your Own Adventure angle put into it also, whatever it was that we were talking about.
Well, we've been talking about doing a Homeless Eggie Choose Your Own Adventure YouTube series, so maybe we'll do that sometime. True, yeah. And where one of the options, you just go to the casino, and then we just film you losing every game.
It's a great way to make it win somehow. Just, the cameraman always survives, so eventually one of those has to pay you a lot of money.
Did you want to plug anything, Eggie?
Yes, I think in the near future here, probably nearer than this video is going to be released, but all the same, I think we're going to be appearing on the Rusty Cage live show here in the near future.
I wouldn't promise that, because last time we recorded something with Rusty, he literally refused to release it and threw it away, so I'm actually very skeptical that we will record anything with him.
What was the reasoning?
He was embarrassed that me and Eggie were funnier than him, and he didn't want to release it, and he won't give us the footage.
Damn.
He just lost the time because he's a pussy. He got mad that we talked about his blackface escapades on air. It is what it is.
So yeah, with that being said, make sure to go subscribe to Monkey D. Jones on YouTube. Follow that One Piece Saga adventure over there. We just did volume 44 today for these paid members.
Yeah, Erich, I'll ask you right now, because we talked about it over there. Would you have any interest in reading volume 45 of One Piece and reviewing it with us next week?
Yes. Next week I'd have to figure out exactly when, but yeah, I can do that.
We would probably record it like on Friday. Not this coming Friday, but the next one.
Next Friday.
Because I thought you only did the anime. I didn't know you were into the manga of One Piece.
I started. I've read all of Skype in the manga, and I started reading the manga anyway, but I did not get very far. So
volume 45, do you know where in the story that is, or should I just tell you?
Just tell me.
It's the return to Water 7 arc, so we can enjoy that together. Eggie predicted it correctly, actually.
Wow.
Spoiler alert for Eggie. Hey, that's it for this one. Thank you to, I don't remember the name exact. I should have looked it up. Maybe I'll put it in the description. Whoever paid us to review this, thank you.
Yeah.
And if you would like to pay for a upcoming Is It Kino or a couch review, SimianJimmyBusiness@gmail.com. Pitch your idea. It's only $100. I'll give you two the final words.
That's Craig Zoller. Cannot wait to see what you deliver to us next. Even if it, I don't know,
Doesn't have Mel Gibson.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, I'm just happy that there's more free thinker cinema out there. It's what we need, folks. Remember, always be a free thinker.
MGTOW all the way. Peace, people. I guess I did not give you guys the final words.
Damn.